Okay, so we've got some news to talk about from yesterday and today. Comic-Con is in, I guess, full swing right now, and there's no telling what's going to come out of the wheelhouse there. So, yeah, there's been some unexpected stuff so far. And I wanted to start off with this, even though there was some stuff early announced, but I'll go more into detail with those. It's been announced, apparently, that we are getting another Batman TMNT crossover. Yeah, we're getting another Batman Ninja Turtles crossover. However, this, and you may be thinking, oh, it's a sequel to the first comic, because they left it open enough to do a sequel to that story. Yes and no. It is a spiritual sequel in that, it's going to follow, again, Batman meeting the TMNT, but it will not be a direct sequel to the comic. And it's very unique in the sense that it's not taking place in the same universe as the DC and IDW universes, respectively. It's more or less, in this series, this will be a crossover between the 90s Batman cartoon and the 2012 TMNT cartoon. That's right, this is the first time we're getting the Kevin Conroy era Batman crossing over with, I think, anything, really. This is, I think, the first time I've ever seen that where, we had the Static Shock crossovers, because at the time, Milestone wasn't part of the DC Universe yet. That wasn't until later in the DC Universe. So, I think it's a really cool idea that we're getting, Batman crossing over with, especially this Batman, this version of Batman, a lot of, how we got into Batman, the show that got us into, Batman and comics in general. It was Batman the Animated Series that initially did that. And I think it's really cool that they're doing a crossover with the newest incarnation of the Turtles in animation. I love the 2012 cartoon. I absolutely love it. I wish Nickelodeon gave it a little more respect. But I digress. So, with Batman, with the Batman TMNT, obviously you have the kind of fun, comic booky, yet dark and serious kind of storytelling. Whenever we think Batman, it's usually the 90s cartoon we look at. Hell, if you look at the Arkham series, as my good friend Shades at Night once put it, the Arkham games are quintessentially the 90s cartoon for but aged up. Like, it's the grown-up version of the 90s cartoon. So yeah, obviously, the 90s cartoon has a lot of inspiration, and having the 2012 Turtles in here, it would have been interesting to have the 87, the 80s cartoon Turtles meeting the 90s Batman. That would have been interesting, and not to say, oh, it would have been hokey and stupid, because there have been dark episodes in the TMNT cartoon back in the 80s, but it was more, it wasn't as campy. If anything, I think I would have enjoyed... what would have been fun? If they did Adam West Batman meeting the 80s cartoon Turtles. That'd have been fun. Or the 90s movie Turtles. That'd have been equally as fun. I'm just happy for this. Because obviously you've got two great animated series. It's very clear that, the 2012 TMNT cartoon embraces the fun elements of the 80s cartoon and of the live action movies, but also takes that dark and serious tone that the IDW and Mirage comics also are capable of. So I think this is a great mashup to have. It's going to be interesting because the writer and artists of this have respect the I can't remember the artist's name, but the writer. I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. But basically, both members of the creative team have worked on both Batman and TMNT. In fact, they've actually both worked on the 90s Batman, and they've worked on as writer and storyboard artists on the 2012 cartoon, on the 2012 TMNT cartoon. So there hasn't been much as to details of what kind of stories they're going to do. It will be like the first Batman TMNT crossover. It will be a 6-issue series, and I think it's going to start later this year or earlier this year. I can't remember which. But yeah. This is, I think, I think it's really cool. Obviously you have, you can do so much with this crossover of having, what was I going to say? You can have the Bat family in here. You can have Hamill's Joker. I would love to see another matchup between especially this Batman versus the 2012 Shredder. That would be an awesome fight, right? 90s Batman versus 2012 Shredder. Awesome. And that even means we can probably see more mutants. Maybe we could see Krang Subprime. Maybe we could see, Razar and Fishface and Tiger Claw. Oh, Batman versus Tiger Claw would be awesome. That'd be actually a pretty epic fight. One more thing I want to mention, real quick before I move on to the other stuff of what I'd like to see in this crossover is, please, as much as I like the first Batman TMNT crossover, the one thing that really irked me was the fact that in that crossover, Batman got the drop and actually beat the Turtles and fought Splinter to a standstill. And I was like, really? Even together, they managed to... What? It was a little too much favoritism to Batman. I'm hoping with this one, maybe we can play a little fair with both sides. Can we do that? Can we at least do that? Please? Anyway, so... With that being said, among other things, I'd like to see, obviously, the rest of the Bat family show up, Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl. I'd love to see Batgirl and April, especially this version of April and Casey, meet the members of the Bat family. That would be awesome. Yeah, they haven't announced what the story is. All we know, it will be a 6-issue series revolving around the two animated series encountering one another. And honestly, I can roll with that. So, not much else really I can say on this crossover other than I'm super excited again to see Batman and TMNT. And from what I understand, it was more or less IDW going, "Hey, you want to do another Batman TMNT crossover?" And DC was like, "Hell yeah, we want to do another Batman TMNT crossover, but let's do it this way." And I think that's a smart idea. Rather than do a direct sequel, we just have another version of it. And again, 90s Batman, 2012 Turtles. What more could you want? So you guys tell me, what do you guys think of this new Batman TMNT crossover? Are you guys excited to see these two cartoons finally meet in comic book form? And what kind of story are you hoping to see? What characters from both respective universes meet up? Anyway, once again, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.